Hey guys, wildernessing in the Rockies here. So I'm just doing a little day scout and thought I'd test out this new alcohol stove that I made. I found this design on the channel Far North Bushcraft, and it seemed really easy to make and a little more effective than some other designs that I'd seen. Maybe not the most effective design, but it seemed the easiest, most effective design, if that makes sense. And I tried it out once before in my backyard and it seemed to work pretty well. I wanted to try it at a higher elevation and more out in the open to see how it deals with the wind and things like that. So yeah, I'm going to make some fir needle tea. Going off trail through this gamble oak is pretty rough. It's just really tight. Here's a fir tree. That'll make a nice tea. I've actually been feeling a little bit under the weather, so I figured I'd make a tea that would help me get a little bit better. There's a lot of vitamin C in here. So this is my pretty ghetto cook set. I keep the alcohol stove in this cup because I already had it. Fits around most water bottles pretty well, but this thing's a little flimsy, so I wanted it to be in a rigid container so it wouldn't get squashed in my pack. So I keep that in there, and I've got this little guy to help raise the cup up off the coals to get a little more air circulation in there as well. The lid is just a peanut butter jar lid that I hammered out. Really high tech there. Fits kind of well if you push it down. So that's nice to avoid getting ash in. But I'm actually going to be using my pot to boil the water. I put some snow down here just to give this guy a better platform. It might make the stove a little less effective because it's cooling it down. I don't know. We'll see. But I think it'll also help for when it comes time to snuffing it out. I'm just going to use this cup like that to snuff it out, and this way I feel like I'm more likely to get an airtight seal required to snuff out the flame. Just using isopropyl. They only had 91% when I went to the store. Obviously a higher percent is going to burn better. Unfortunately, it doesn't really fit super well inside of this guy, like at all, so I want to switch to a different container for it. And also this lid leaks a little bit. One nice thing about it though is it has a squirting nozzle, which is really good for priming the wick part of this stove. So the thing I like about this stove is that the flame comes from all around. You don't have to poke a bunch of holes around and have the flame come up that way, but this part around here there are different materials you can use. Again, I'm going to post a link to how to make this guy in the description. Far North Bushcraft and Survival, I think his channel is called. So you can check that out. But for this wick to start working, you have to prime it first. And so with this squirting nozzle, it makes it pretty easy to do that without wasting too much, unless you're foolish like I am, and I just spilled some. Okay. A little bit more in there. I believe it's lit. It is lit. So already I can tell it's not even that windy today, and it's blowing around a lot. So, I mean, obviously it worked better if I had some sort of windshield / stove to sit around it. I'm trying to think of a way I can make one for cheap. It's been about 6 or 7 minutes. It sounds like it's boiling. So pretty cool. It works. It is pretty windy out here, so it's probably not the most efficient. Also, I could have gotten a higher % alcohol. But you know, if it works, it works. All that snow that I put down is melted completely, so let's see if snuffing it out is going to work on top of this rock. Yeah, it did. Sweet. I'll let that cool down and salvage what I can from the rest of the alcohol. So vitamin C is actually heat sensitive. So you don't want to boil your needles in the pot that you're boiling the water in. So it's better to get the water hot and then pour the hot water over the needles. Excuse me. That's real good. Yeah, it's going to help my cold go away quicker for sure. So guys, stove works pretty well, I think. Like I said, I'm gonna do some research to see if I can find a way to make my own windshield / stove to go around it to make it heat a little more effectively. But I want it to be able to be fairly packable. Is the main thing. Because I could just get a big old can and poke holes in it and stick that around it. That would work, of course. But I want it to be a little more packable than that. Another thing I want to talk about briefly is just different types of fuels. There's a really good video on YouTube. I'm going to have to find it again and put the link in the description that goes over, I think it's 6 different types of fuel and measures how long it takes for them to bottle or to boil the same amount of water. Just out of multifunctionality, I'd prefer to bring pure ethanol. Ethanol is the alcohol that's in the alcohol we drink, right? Because, you know, it might not be easily available in your state. In Utah, weirdly enough, you can actually get Everclear at liquor stores, which is in, I believe it's 75 and 95% versions. It is a little bit more expensive to do it that way versus isopropyl, but you can make medicinal tinctures from it, and, you know, I wouldn't necessarily want to cook over an isopropyl flame, you know, if I wanted to do that, but I wouldn't feel worried about it at all cooking over an ethanol flame. So, things to consider, I guess, when you're using an alcohol stove. Well, I just want to thank you guys for joining me for this video, making this delicious tea, testing out that stove, and I'll come out with another video. Thanks, guys.